Welcome to the Competitive 40k podcast, brought to you by Vanguard Tactics. This is a Warhammer 40k podcast where we analyse the meta and develop strategies to help you become a competitive 40k player. I'm your host, Stephen Box, and it is my mission to help raise the standard of the game both on and off the tabletop. So guys, it is episode 11, and we're currently still going through the coronavirus at the moment. But we are hot off the back of a new Psychic Awakening release, the Saga of the Beast, and today we're going to be mainly talking about the Beast, and that is the Green Tide of the Orks. So I've got two guests with me tonight. One, you've heard his incredible tones for the last few episodes, and obviously he has to come back by popular demand, and that's Jack Downing. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm very good, Stephen. How are you?
Mate, I'm doing very, very well. Jack, you are a sort of, Tau is your main bag, isn't it, really?
Yes, but I'm looking to move into Orks to mix it up a bit. Static gunline to a bit of choppy.
Bit of choppy. So we got Jack on for Jack's got an Ork army that I've painted for him, and he's certainly developing those strategies for Orks. So it's going to be, I'm interested to see what Jack's been looking at in terms of his list, how it's changed, and things like that. So we're going to discuss some maybe alternative list builds, later on at the end of this episode. But we've also got on today an experienced Ork player, and this Ork player in particular, I met at the London Grand Tournament. He was my last opponent of the weekend, and what a game it was. So we are talking to an exceptional Ork player who's had some fantastic results, one of them being finishing in the top 10 of the Warhammer World Finals of last year. So some really, really incredible results. Chris Webb-Cook.
Good evening, how are you?
Mate.
Good evening, how's it going?
Doing well. Doing very well. Mate, thanks so much for coming on to the show today.
No worries, it's a pleasure.
And also, Chris is one of our Vanguard tacticians. So Chris is somebody that is graduated through the mentorship program and is now one of the sort of, I suppose, voices or influencers in our small, growing community of students. And really, you're our kind of Ork expert in the group. So today, mate, I'm counting on you to give us those green insights,
I shall endeavour to help out wherever I can.
Really appreciate that, mate. Yeah, so we're gonna, first of all, what I want to do is really go through like what the Ork scene was like, and then I want you to we'll go into what you're looking forward to, how your list may have changed in something that you're excited about in the future. But if you listen to this podcast, get your phone out, and I want you to type in and have a look at Chris's Ork army, because I was absolutely blown away by it. What is your Instagram handle?
I am at Bowtie Painting Studios with underscores, so Bowtie_painting_studios. Yeah, I was lucky enough to win Best Painted at London as well, which was a completely humbling experience.
I voted for you, by the way, just so you know.
Thank you very much, bro. Appreciate that.
That's okay, don't you worry. That's fine. So check it out. It's got some... What's the sort of style? Is it like cartoon style you've gone for?
Yeah, so it's cell shading. So the people say Borderlands is when they see the army for the first time. So they think the Borderlands video games, that cell shaded cartoony style. It takes ages to do, but every single model is individually black lined and made to look like they've stepped out of a cartoon page.
Cool. Yeah, no, mate, it was a wicked army I can remember taking pictures of it and sending it to the group. That it was, beautiful to look at. So, check out Bowtie Studios on the old Instagram, and check out this army as we talk. So, Chris, talk us through, you mentioned that there was about 3 ways to play Orks, right?
Yeah, I think looking at how Orks have been run before Psychic Awakening, lists kind of fell into 3 archetypes. So the first one, the one that I've been playing, is boys, lots and lots of boys. So as many as you can get on the table, and it is just a green tide. So I was playing 90 boys with a unit of looters, a unit of tank busters, but people have been playing even more Orks than that. So Jeff Paul, who finished very high at the LVO, loads and loads of Orks on the table, and it's just sheer weight of numbers. And I'm now currently painting my way to 120 boys, and I'm losing my beloved looters to get up there. So that was the first major one. It's just bodies on the table, 200. Well, I was playing 200 bodies or above, and just hoping that the opponent didn't have enough guns to deal with them. So that was the first one. Secondly was smasher gun spam. Just as many smasher guns as you could fit, like 18 smasher guns, just with their ridiculously low points cost, just ripping everything apart with their D6 damage. And we'll talk later how that's actually gotten a lot better. And then the final way was the Mega Knobs. So this was more a build around the what is now the WTC, but there were people having a lot of success with taking the boys out and putting Mega Knobs in. So much more protection, but a much lower model count. And most of the people who were doing well with Orks were running a variation of one of those three archetypes. So
nice.
Orks were quite stable in the way they were being played.
And quite predictable, right?
Yeah, so you would, if you saw it was an Ork player, you'd look at the list, it's like, okay, it's boys, okay, it's Mega Knobs, or okay, it's Smasher Guns.
Yeah. And like the Orks have got some really unique abilities in stratagems which are real standouts to their codex. You know, so we can sort of delve into some of that later on. So I want you to quickly... So you've obviously got pre-Psychic Awakening, you had the codex, obviously. Then you also had the Vigilist attachments, didn't you, which brought you even more power, didn't they?
Yeah, but only one of them ever really got played. The big one that you'll see really often is the Dreadwar detachment, and that is for one reason and one reason only. It is the souped up shocker. So the shock attack gun is the most orky weapon ever created. I adore it in its random, chaotic, destructive power. I'm running 3 of them in my list. One of them is the souped up shocker, and the big difference is you pay a CP for this relic and it gives you an extra D6 shots. So it turns the gun into strength 2d6, shots 2d6, minus 5 d6 damage.
It's brutal.
And if you roll above 11 on strength, it does D3 mortal wounds for every hit in addition.
Tell me about it. Yeah,
it's a fantastic thing for just ripping through armor.
And also it's on a character, which obviously you then can't target unless you've got snipers or something.
Yes, indeed.
And what's the range? Like it's 60 inches, isn't it?
It's like 60 inches, and then you
60.
Yeah, then you make him your warlord, and there's the big killer boss warlord trait, which gives him +1 to wound against vehicles and monsters. So that was a really standard thing, and I think you'll still see that in every Ork list worth its money. I think 3 shock attack guns go onto every Ork list. If you're starting out, I think that's where you need to be.
Well, they're just that nice little fire base, because between one of the 3, you're probably going to roll big, aren't you, on your strength to get the mortal wounds.
Yeah, and you with the Dreadwar as well, the other thing is it gives you a 2 CP stratagem to let you shoot them twice, which is just fantastic.
And are you going, and obviously if they are, what's the word I'm looking for? Bad moons, they get to fire twice as well, potentially?
Yeah, so if you could do that with bad moons, and they get reroll 1s, but the way I've been running them, and I think the correct way to run them is to put them as Death Skulls.
And what did Death Skulls get for the listeners? So,
well, first of all, you get 6-up Invuln save, which is just nice to have. You get every infantry model gets OBSEC, so you can do some cheeky shenanigans like late game, to jump one of your shock attack guns with OBSEC and surprise somebody. But the big thing is they get a Salamander style reroll. So every time you shoot with it, you can reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, 1 damage.
See, that takes it to that next level, because the Salamanders don't get the reroll damage, do they? It's just a reroll, a hit and a wound.
And all of this for 80 points.
Yeah, because you can definitely take. There could be merit in, If you're not taking the looters, maybe taking the bad moons. One of them being a shock attack gun, and the souped up shocker with the death skulls, because then you could basically having like 5 shock attack gun shots a turn then.
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, that's and it's brutal. And you spend your more Daka on stratagem on your souped up shocker as well. So then Daka's going off on 5s and 6s, and if it goes off, I was at a tournament before coronavirus hit, and my shock attack guns had an incredible weekend, just ripping through Centurions like it wasn't even funny. Like, they killed one, it shot when it died for 2 CP, and ripped up 3 Centurions that were then about to fire into a squad of boys.
Oh yeah, because you can fire in death, can't you? Because you've got that stratagem. So, explain to the listeners, what does Daka do?
So Daka is something that all Ork models get, and it's basically, if you roll a 6 with a shooting attack, you straight away get to roll another attack of the same weapon. So it's a force multiplier. Every 6 you roll to hit generates another shot. And when you're only hitting on 5s with Orks for the most part, that's really, really important. And the other big thing about it is they always hit. So a 6 with an Ork always hits. It doesn't matter if you've got a -3 to hit, Eldar Flyer, I'm hitting you on a 6 at all times. And then you've got the more Daka stratagem, which is 2 CP, and I use this every single shooting phase, and as long as I've got CP to spend it. And that means that Daka goes off on 5s and 6s. So suddenly you are hitting flyers on a 5 with no penalty, and you're getting all of those extra shots.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, really nice, mate. Okay, cool. So that's I think a really good just sort of introduction to what some of the Ork mechanics are. What are 5 things in Psychic Awakening that you've been excited about, or you've seen that you think this is really unique, really different, and this might influence the way that I start your Ork army or develop it?
So of it, in a Psychic Awakening, there's some new stratagems, some new psychic powers, some new chapter tactics called subcultures, and some more relic items that work similar to the prototype weapons of Tau. So you can upgrade units rather than characters. That's a quick overview of what's in there. I really like the War Boss stratagem for 1 CP. So it's a pre-game upgrade to a War Boss to give him +1 attack, +1 wound, and a 4-up invuln save. So that gets them up to 7 wounds, 5 attacks with a 4-up invuln, because previously it doesn't have an invuln. So I think all Ork players will then look to use that stratagem on him to make him really killy.
Every single game.
And I think there's some good combos you could do with Wardlord traits and psychic powers as well. To he could take out a knight comfortably in 1 round of combat, and potentially 2 if he got into combat with 2 of them. So I really like that.
Sorry, just to jump in there. So we also saw in Psychic Awakening the Ghazghkull Tharaka release, didn't we?
Yes.
And he's had a completely overhaul in terms of his rules. We spoke about it on another podcast, didn't we, Jack? The old Ghazghkull, I think.
Yeah.
And but I don't know about you guys, but I feel a little bit disappointed that you can spend this 1 CP and you've now got an Ork War Boss that cannot be targeted. It's got a 4+ invulnerable save and pretty much hits as hard as Ghazghkull for 1 CP. So I think in essence it's going to make Ghazghkull a little bit obsolete, in my opinion. And I would have loved to see more Ghazghkull on the table. I don't know what you guys think on that one.
I think for me, what's going to make Ghazghkull obsolete is his points cost. It's way too high. I think they've overpriced the maximum 4 wounds per phase. But that being said, I think I definitely want to try him out to see how he can operate. Because in certain matchups, he's going to be absolutely solid. Because take Tau or any gun line, he's only taken 4 wounds per shooting phase. That's potentially 3 turns to drop him, or to say your Blood Angels, Steve. He's in there for 3 rounds of combat with your Blood Angels. So in list builds like that, he can play very well. I think it's just a bit unfortunate that he's lost the infantry keyword, so he loses a lot of movement that way because he's got to go around terrain and things like that, which is a shame. And he can't
That really
be like,
hurt.
yeah, he can't be like the jumps, can he either?
No, and he can't be affected by pain boys, so you have to spend a CP to heal him up as well. Orks love that infantry keyword, and as soon as you lose that, I think he loses a lot. And for 285 points, he's a big investment. And I think you're right. But taking him, I think you're going to have to teleporter him, so that's 2 CPs as well, because he doesn't actually benefit from his own advance and charge aura.
Do you think that will get FAQ'd?
I hope so. I think
I would have thought so.
He needs that, because otherwise you're going to charge him up with your boys, and then nothing.
Because I don't know any other character in the game that doesn't benefit from their own ability.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I hope that's an oversight, because I'm losing that infantry keyword hurts.
So if he does get advanced in charge, playable, do we think then?
In certain circumstances.
I think, as Chris mentioned, he almost has to start in a teleporter because he's only got a 7-inch move. And if you drop him down on turn 3, it's going to be difficult for people to kill him.
Yeah,
because you don't have that many shooting phases, and you can repair him D3 wounds as well. So there may be some play in it, but for 285 points, well, that's 40 boys, isn't it? I think you'd rather take 40 boys.
Yeah, or you just buy yourself a normal war boss and as many boys as you can.
Yeah, because that's what I think, that 1 CP stratagem is so good. Anyway, so Jack, sorry to butt in there. So obviously that's one thing you're excited about. What's another 4 things you're excited about with the Psychic Awakening?
Well, one thing is, it's got me excited to actually start playing them and getting them painted. I'm taking advantage of our current situation with coronavirus, but I've actually got all the models back out and I'm looking to start painting them up. So that's one thing I'm really excited about, because
you could have told me to sit down before you told me that sort of news, Jack. I'm blown away, mate. It must be big.
But yeah, so as Chris mentioned already, that previously there was only 3 kind of archetypes before. I didn't want to, when I picked up the Orks, I didn't want a shooting army. I wanted a combat with a bit of psychic support. So when 2 of those key builds are then shooting based, I didn't really want to go down that avenue, and I didn't fancy pushing 200 boys around the board. So it
takes a lot doing that. Yeah. Doing that for 6 games, it takes a lot of effort. You've got to want to do it, as someone who's done it several times.
Yeah. So now with the new stuff's coming through, I think that makes other builds valid, which is great.
Yeah.
I really like the custom jobs. There's so many in there, and lots of them apply to the vehicles I quite like the Gorkanauts, Morkanauts, Killer Cans, Death Dreads, and all the new buggies. So there's lots of little variations in there that could be tested out. So looking forward to trying those out. And yeah, that's another thing exciting to do, is because there's so much different. With Orks generally, there's lots of variation in the codex and in the stratagems. Now with Psychic Awakening layered on top, I think there's lots of different combos to try out, which would be really fun to practice and see what build suits me best.
Yeah, nice. And guys, do you mind both writing a list for the listeners to check out?
Yeah, sure.
No problem.
So in that case, guys, send those over to me, and basically I'll get them on a blog page. And the blog page always is, if you want to check out any of our show notes, any of the downloads, any of the cheat sheets, whatever we talk about, you always need to go to www.vanguardtactics.com/blog/EP, then the number. So this will be EP11. So go there, and obviously you'll be able to see Chris's and Jack's army lists. So that'll be cool. Okay, nice. Anything else you want to sort of add there, Jack?
No, I think that gives an overview of what I'm looking forward to.
Cool. So, Chris, what about you then?
Yeah, a lot of the same things actually. I think we talked about Gaz, but I can see Gaz with Mega Knobs. I see a unit of Mega Knobs on the table, and they're going to get dejumped turn two as Gaz comes down from his teleporter. I think that is a Death Star that's going to be very, very difficult to deal with, and it's going to kill a lot, especially with the new Mega Knob stratagem. That is going to hurt. I think that's where I see Gaz getting some play in that kind of Mega Knobs heavy build.
And what are you running them as? Evil Sons, Goths? What are you running them as?
I'm not sure. Evil Sons just is so good. That 8-inch charge with the rerolls is so reliable, and I actually think that nudges it instead of the Goths. I think that's what you go for, because you're getting that extra attack with Gaz there, and I do think that I want that reliability, because that's the thing with Orks, that 8-inch charge with Evil Sons from deep strike or from jump, it's really important. I mean, that's 16%. Well, no, it's different to that. I don't know percentages. I'm an English teacher, but it's that much more reliable.
The only thing is, obviously, Gaz won't get that, so he's still on a 9, isn't he? Because he can't be anything but a Goth. And obviously, you were talking about jumping the other boys over, weren't you, to get that?
Mm.
And have you got a 3d6-inch charge?
No, we don't, because we don't have kind of inbuilt deep strike mechanics. Like, the only way to affect charge distances is Evil Sons, and that's the +1. But
There's
we do have. Here we go.
Vehicle one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The vehicle strat is charge 3d6.
Is that vehicle and monster, or just vehicle?
Just vehicle.
Yeah, I was using that. I was using that with a Gorkanaut when I came 8th at the Warhammer World Finals. I had a Gorkanaut who was off the table in 5 of my 6 games. Then he came in with his 3d6 charge, and yeah, he got killed a lot, but it was a laugh.
Shame that's not vehicles and monsters, because otherwise Gazgul could go in on a 3d6.
That would be amazing.
Well, because there's no other monsters in the book, in the codex, they didn't need that keyword. So maybe that's where they might look to. They may add the monster keyword into that stratagem. That could be a good workaround.
That would change. Suddenly Gaz would be very interesting, because that he does mortal wounds as well when he hits. He does like impact hits. That would be very tasty.
Okay, cool.
I'll tell you one of my favourite combos that's got, but that I want to see if it would work in practice. So there's the stratagem we just talked about, which is the 3d6 charge for a vehicle unit, and on a 2-up you do d3 mortal wounds. There's now a new strat in Psychic Awakening for 2 CP. If you inflict a mortal wound on an enemy unit and you're no longer within an inch of an enemy model, you can declare another charge.
Which is hilarious.
So if you played it right, and you dropped your Gorkanaut out of deep strike, you knocked their screening unit down to 1 model via shooting, you look to charge your Gorkanaut in to pick him up with a mortal wound on that last screening model, and then charge dude 3d6 behind into whatever they're trying to protect. I think it's situational, but very powerful as and when it comes up.
Spent 6 CP on it at that point as well, so I think that is your Hail Mary play. That is that I've got nothing left to lose. Here we go, we're going in. So I do. That was one of my 5 things actually. Gorkanauts might work because they're my favourite model in the Ork line. They are the reason. They were my first Ork model I bought, the first one I painted, and I love them dearly. And the fact that I might get to play them now at high end is really exciting to me.
Yeah, Jack had a Morkanaut or Gorkanaut, but you didn't build it for 6 months because you got builder's block, didn't you, for a while?
Yeah, he's built. He's half painted. He'll be getting finished shortly. Yeah, he's in my list.
No, I like.
They're not too hard to magnetize as well. Not too hard to magnetize. So you can run them as Morkanaut.
Yeah, ship sailed.
I'll talk to you when I buy the next one.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you guys were talking to me about some sort of sports car that you both liked.
I think this is one that I think it might take off. I think that this is
Oh, nice pun.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't even realize I was making that pun. That was fantastic. Yeah, the shock jump dragster. So it's one of these orc buggies, which much maligned. You've not seen them very much. They were one of the big reveals from October last year, and they weren't great. Like the scrapjet was probably the best of them, but I think that the shock jump dragster is very interesting now.
And why is that? Tell us.
So he's 103 points, and he's got an ability that when he advances and you roll over 4, he basically disappears and he reappears. You get a free deep strike. So you advance him. If you roll a 4 him up, you pick him up, put him anywhere on the board 9 inches away. Now there's a custom job in Psychic Awakening, which means that if you advance with him, it automatically counts as over 4. So you've basically got a free deep striking buggy every turn, which is great for spreading out over the board. But then when you look at the gun it's got a gun that's Assault 2, and it's Strength 8 -3, I believe, D6 damage.
Yep. That's it.
And it gets +2 to hit. So even if, well, you will have advanced to Deep Strike, then you're going to pick that up, and it's going to be hitting on 4s, which for orcs is incredible. I'm going to run it as Death Skulls as well. So you're getting that re-roll. And for Strength 8 -3, D6 damage, I'm going character hunting. Because that's one of... Or that if there's something that's not screened, or if there's something out of line of sight, like I was talking to Steve earlier today, Thunderfire cannons are the bane of my existence. But if I can jump over and get rid of the Thunderfire cannons, that's me suddenly thinking this game just got very, very interesting.
I think you'll find a lot of people will forget that this can happen, and I think they will leave their characters unexposed because they're like,
yeah.
Or if your boys have gone in and killed all the screen, to start generating the gaps.
And there's a 1 CP stratagem here as well, so you can talk about that in a minute. I just don't want to forget. So carry on, Jack.
Yeah. So just to clarify on the custom jobs, you can buy these dragsters in units of 3, and the custom job will apply to all 3. So you can have 3 of these things jumping around the board. One of its drawbacks was only 24-inch range, which is now, with this custom job, been addressed, which is great. It's got a rocket launcher on it as well, only 1. And it's not bad in combat. Strength 6, 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, -1/1 damage. So if you send all 3 of them into a screening unit, they can do a bit of a job there. But yeah, it's that shock rifle, which is absolutely incredible. And yeah, I think Death Skulls is the way forward on that.
Because also Phoenix Psychic Awakening, you also got some custom clans, haven't you?
Yeah. There's a strat to go with these guys as well, that you can jump one after it's shot.
Yeah, so 1 CP, use this stratagem in your shooting phase after shooting with a shock jump dragstar until unit from your army. That unit immediately advances, and the result is a 4. So again, it's interesting that the word is unit and not model, because when they are deployed, they do act as a model, don't they?
Yes, I think that only work on the 1, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think
all 3 of those things jumping around would be absolutely nuts.
That would be insane, hilarious fun.
So let's get this right. You can, with the custom job, you can basically redeploy 9 inches away. Yeah. You can advance it essentially. Move it 9 inches away.
It counts as having advanced.
Yeah. Shoot the rockets and everything else, and then spend 1 CP and fling it back out of line of sight again, anywhere in your own deployment zone, and rinse repeat every turn.
Yep.
Oh, so good.
So it counters one of the Orcs' big problems was there was no indirect shooting, and if something was behind line of sight, you weren't going to get to it unless you jumped something, but then you're out of position and you're losing a lot of your defensive abilities. But this actually gives you a way to get, although it's not indirect shooting, it allows you to get around behind things. And I think the other thing for on that vein is the planes, which I wanted to talk about in a bit. That there's a new stratagem for them as well, and I just think that they've looked at what the Orks struggle with, and I think that this is one of the ways they've kind of they've given us something that will help us out.
Yeah, you mentioned planes there. I love the look at the burner bomber detachment. That's tasty.
Cool. So that's your. Anything else that you want to touch on at this point? So, because I don't want to do a full like in depth, and because I did actually do that on on one of the lives that I did on YouTube. So I did go through absolutely everything, and I'll be honest, I missed that. Shock jump dragster. So I'm really you guys have spoke about that. So, what else then? If you guys you spoke about this, let's have a look at 1 CP. This is one I really looked at and I thought this is fantastic. 1 CP, looters or burner boys, that consists of 9 or less, or 2 if it's over 10. You can roll 1 additional dice and discard 1 when determining number of shots burners or def guns equipped with. Each unit can only be selected once, obviously, once per stratagem. A stratagem once per battle, sorry.
So I'm not super excited about this one. So I love my looters, but I think this stratagem has some hidden costs. So first of all, you need a spanner. So if you've got a spanner in your looter unit, you're losing a def gun.
Okay, yep.
Straight away. And so you're losing D3 shots. So you're going to need them to hit 3 shots 3 turns in a row, which they are more likely to do. But for 2 CP, I think I'd rather have the shoot twice or more DACA stratagem in my back pocket. So I think that stratagem for looters, because looters are incredible. I love looters. They've just come out of my list. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. So if you don't know looters, they've got def guns, 48-inch range, strength 7, -1, flat 2 damage, and they've been my MVP so often. And yeah, taking them out of my list was hard to do. But I think that stratagem for 2 CP, if it was 1 CP, I think, right, I'm going to lose a def gun for a spanner. But, okay, it might be worth it. But for 2 CP, I don't think that's worth it.
Otherwise,
what do you think, Jack?
Because there's 6 CPs otherwise, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah. Yes.
But what the 2 CP investment stops if you roll a 1 number of shots, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because you will spend the CP on if you've rolled a 1 for a number of shots, you will CP it. And what I do like about it is that if you roll two shots each, you'd never CP that. But if you can roll 2d6 and pick the highest, you're increasing the average of getting 3 shots each time. So I completely get where you're coming from, and the way you described it, actually, do I want to shoot twice at the time? In my head, it was the 2 CP saves you a CP reroll every shooting phase and increases your likelihood of getting 3 shots. So that's the way I was kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that you need that full squad to shoot 3 times with 3 shots to make your investment back on it. So I'm not sold on that one. I can see that it would save you some, but I'm not sure I would use it if I was still using looters, or if I use them again.
So it actually affects the unit then. So it's like a pre-game, because it's before the battle. So
yeah,
I mean, for 2 CPs, I don't think that's bad. If you think, okay, like you've just said there, Chris, that the looters, I bet an experienced Ork player is going to know when their looters is going to be the MVP of the game, right? You'll know this matchup they're going to clean up, whether it's like flyers or something like that, Dark Eldar models, which are -1 to hit, because you know you're going to invest DACA, shoot twice every single turn into them, so why not just go, right, 2 extra CPs, and I'm pretty much going to guarantee that if you looked at your average, I bet you spend a 1 CP at least over the course of the game, right? For a reroll, if you roll a 1-shotter, yeah?
Yeah.
So, okay, so then if you know that you're averagely going to spend 1 at least anyway, then you probably won't have to do that. So the likelihood is it's only an extra investment of one more CP, yes, you lose D3 shots, but you're essentially gaining 14 shots, but that's actually going to become 28 extra shots. So on average, you'll lose 2. So you're probably net gaining 26 shots per turn every single time you shoot, because you know you're going to shoot twice. So I think it's good. Yeah, I'm sold.
I think,
I'm sold
like
on
I say, it's situation. I see where you're coming from. I think that if you see planes, you're like, yes, but yeah, I'm not sold. I think I need to play with it and test it and kind of see how it goes to see if I am sold.
Well, the debate is out, isn't it?
Yep.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, guys, comment. Let us know on YouTube. You can comment there. On the blog page, you can comment there. Yeah, let us know, guys.
So yeah, I think from Psychic Awakening now, there's 2 more things that I noticed that I just think are really worth mentioning, if that's all right.
Oh no, sorry, mate. No, we're moving on to town now. We're back to the relic.
Relic on accelerator.
That's it.
I refuse. I hate the Tau so much. I see Tau and I'm like, oh, I hate him. I hate them so much.
So, Cat, mate, you carry on. Tell us what else you want to talk about.
So the big thing I think you're going to see a lot of is I'm underwhelmed by the custom clans or the subcultures. Apart from one, I think that if you could pick 2, like other armies can, I think wicked. But I think the one that you're going to see played is the Grot Mobs one, and basically that's going to make Smasher Guns even better than they were. So Smasher Guns were hateful already, and then this mob, I've got it up here. Where is it? I can't read. Help! Send help.
Says the English teacher. I can't read.
Yes.
So it basically says it's the Grot Mobs, Gretchen model only. When this models in this unit with this subculture gain a 6+ invulnerable save. When resolving an attack by a vehicle model in a unit with this subculture, re-roll the hit roll of 1. Now, obviously you get reroll 1s in this 6+ invulnerable save, which is fantastic. They're 2 great buffs. But I think for me, the reason why this is so big, because please correct me if I'm wrong, Gretchen didn't even get any culture clans before. They didn't get any benefits from anything, did they?
No, they got nothing. Well, there was something a bit janky you could do with freebooters, but it didn't really work. You could use them to get something else in your army, a bonus, but it wasn't them. So a 6+ invuln save, 16% fewer wounds go through, which is awesome, and then re-rolling 1s to hit. Suddenly, the Smasher Gun spam is even more reliable.
Yeah.
And all of those D6 damage, because Smasher Guns are really interesting. Like, when you roll to wound, you don't roll to wound, you roll 2 dice, and if the result is above the toughness of the thing you're shooting at, you've wounded. And it's -4 D6 damage. So it just put holes in things.
But what I really like about that is you can make a battalion with your Gretchen and all your mech guns. Previously, you got no benefit from anywhere. Now, all of a sudden, it's all got a 6+ invuln, including the guns. And it's got the reroll 1s to hit. You've gained something for free, completely free on that one. So
and your HQ tax, you're going to put your weird boys in there. I run 2 weird boys, and I warp head both of them so they can both cast 2 psychic powers. And none of the clan psychic powers really got me excited, so I'm going to put them in there, and I'm not going to lose anything. I've still got my boys in my evil sons, or my tank busters looters in my bad moons, and my shock attack guns in my death skulls, whichever 2 of those that you're going to match with your smasher guns.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, good. That sounds good. Cool. So let's talk about the plane detachment then. Jack, talk us through what you've been cooking up.
Okay. So there's a subculture called Pyromaniacs, which I haven't got it in front of me, but I'll just concentrate on the planes. So the burn, it allows you to re-roll the mortal wound output on burner bombers. And it gives you, is it +1 as well, Chris?
Do you say pyromanics? Yeah?
That's it, yeah.
So I'll read it out. You can re-roll any and all of the dice when determining the number of shots made for burners, scorchers, burner bottles, burner exhausts, killer jets, and scorcher missiles equipped on models in a unit with this subculture. When resolving an attack made with the melee profile of a burner equipped on a model with this subculture, you can re-roll the wound roll. Okay, so that's the in combat you can re-roll the wound roll. When resolving the burner bomb's ability from a unit with this subculture, add 1 to the hit roll.
So yeah, so the burner bomb, you can use it twice per battle, and you can it goes off on 5+, but you add 1 against infantry, and then you got your additional +1 as well. So you're doing mortal wounds to infantry on 3+. So if you had 3 of those in an attachment with that, so you can fly over 3 units of infantry and get out lots of mortal wounds. There's also a stratagem to then you can select another unit within 6 of your first unit you bombed, and on 5+s they take mortal wounds as well
for 1 CP.
10 dice. Yeah,
that's incredible.
Then you can blow them up with the flying headbutt. So you can fly them over, do all your mortal wounds with the burner bomb, then use the CP to then get another unit on 5+, and then spend another CP after you've flown to then blow them up and do a flat 3 mortal wounds to anyone within 6 inches of it.
Yeah, nice. And then you've got the what's a blitzer bomber? Because there's 1 CP here. Use this stratagem in your movement phase. After moving a blitzer bomber model from your army until the end of the phase, add 1 to the roll made for the boom boom ability. Is that any good, guys? Talk us through that.
Yeah, go for it, Jack.
Yeah, so it normally goes off on a 4+, but then it'll go up on a 3+. And then it's 12 dice rather than 10.
Okay.
But when you blow the blitz bomber up, it's you don't quite, you get D6, so it's that.
It's D3 on the blitzer bomber.
Oh, it is, apologies.
Yeah, but then the burner bomber flat 3.
Right, okay, so it's the burner bomber you want to explode then. So you could, in an air wing, obviously take 6 of these. You could take 3 of each, couldn't you?
Yeah, and you've just got mortal wounds for days.
I was looking at a plane list with the 3 burner bombers as the pyromaniacs, then 3 Dakar jets as bad moons, and then you can get a few of the other ones in as well, and still generate enough Gretchen to get battalions, stuff like that. That was a funky list. I'm not sure how competitive would be, but I think there's play around the burner bomber air wing, just for that sheer amount of mortal wound output.
I think the only problem with that is you might struggle for CPs, so I think if you were going to sacrifice 1 detachment, it's okay, but you'd have to go 6 planes, all pyros, and just go 3, if you were taking the Dakar jets, I think you just have to suck it up and to put them in as... But I think the bombers are the way forward. Like, if you're going to go for that air wing, because then you've still got 2 of the detachments that you're not taking up, unless you put 2 planes into a bad moons detachment of a battalion, because you can take 2 flyers, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably a better way around it.
Burners will get a lot of play, just to, like, getting things out of... if things are out of line of sight, it's just another way of picking things up, which is something that Orks really struggled with.
Yeah. No, definitely.
So I think you'll see a lot of that.
Cool. So, you've obviously got the 1 CP. The Morkanor or Gorka or Stomper is considered to have double the amount of wounds remaining. That's obviously nice. It just means that, you're probably going to be hitting that a little bit more consistently, aren't you? So they really have to commit to killing one. They can't just leave one half wounded now and it be like, all right, it's made redundant enough. So that's a nice little stratagem that I saw.
And they're so close. Gorkanauts and Morkanauts, not Morkanauts, Gorkanauts are so close to being competitive. We were talking earlier, I think points-wise, they need a decrease. I think with the boost that they've got, because they currently come in at 311 points for a Gorkanaut, which is a lot of points invested. And there's toughness 8, 3 up save, no inbuilt invuln. They've got only 18 wounds, and they don't move very far. They only move 8 as well.
Yeah.
So I for their points, I think they're massively overcosted. Or if you want them to be decent, like we said, you have to invest a lot of CP in them, and then if they get shot, they're gone.
Yeah, I think you're right. A little cheeky drop and they could become competitive. So now, obviously, there's so much more we need to talk about here, but and I think we'll have to save some for potentially another time. There's one thing that you spotted that I think is a real hidden gem that I think a lot of people are going to miss, Chris, and it's about the big mech with custom force field got a new data sheet. How has that changed?
I was thrilled when I spotted this. I was double excited. So the custom force field is basically it's a 5-up invuln to units wholly within 9. So it was a way of getting your orcs an invuln. However, it used to only work for just the shooting phase, whereas in Psychic Awakening, they just get a 5-up invuln save. Now I'm hoping that this is this wasn't a misprint, that this stands, but suddenly my orcs have a 5-up invuln in the combat phase. That's so exciting, because I run one big mech with force field and I put him in my Evil Sons detachment with my war boss. They're my HQs, and so they can keep up with my boys as they go forwards. And then I play Mad Dog Grotznik as well for that 6-up feel no pain. And boys actually become really quite durable. And if I can keep that big mech moving forwards, and if I'm savvy with my movement and I can keep my units within that 9, a 5-up invuln save on boys is really good.
Yeah, I think that's going to be big, isn't it?
There's also another little subtle change to the other custom force fields, is it only applies to clan, while the other custom force fields apply to friendly orc units, but only in the shooting phase.
Yeah,
carry on, Chris.
Yeah, I was just saying that those little tiny things are really exciting. Just that 5-up in the combat phase will protect those orcs so much better, and it's already really difficult to get rid of 30 boys, and if you don't get rid, because you have to get through 31 wounds with the knob, and if you don't get rid of them, they're going to green tide and come back at full strength anyway, and it just makes it so much harder. They can't shoot them to soften them up and then charge them now, because you're still getting those saves.
Yeah, it's really nice. So you mentioned about the mega knobs, some sort of mega knobs. I see they got a new stratagem. Why are they going to become so good in Paramount now in lists for 1 CP? You got basically +1 damage in melee, haven't you? Anything else that makes the mega knobs like spark, like real shine for you in this Psychic Awakening, or is that what you're talking about, that stratagem?
I think that's the big thing for me. I think it's that little bit of extra reliability that they get. It just makes them even more killy.
Are they D3 damage then at the moment?
Yeah, Power Claws are. Kill Saws are flat 2. But it just ups that average, and Kill Saws are more expensive, so a lot of them are being run with Power Claws. So it's just a minimum of 2 up to 4 suddenly changes the game and just makes it that slightly more reliable, that if you're going at Marines, because transhuman hurts them, but every time they get it through on an intercessor, it's going down.
Yeah, and and now because Marines, especially the infantry Marines, are getting either a 6+ or a 5+ feel no pain, really hitting that 3 damage is crucial now. So that averagely on D3 it should be a 2, but then what will happen is when you've got a 5-up feel no pain, more than likely one of those will be a 5. Or sorry, I know it's not more than likely, but over 6 dice, 2 of them are obviously gonna pass, and it only needs one of them to pass, and all of a sudden it takes up another hit. So I think getting to that 3 damage sweet spot, you need to basically make 2 5-ups out of 3 dice in order to save a wound, which is then quite a challenge. which just means then your efficiency to go through those intercessors is just gone up by, you know, a huge degree there, which is fantastic. So I'm with you on that one. I think that's a really good way to play it. Yeah, really nice. So, Jack, you mentioned about your detachment with these crazy planes. What about Death Dreads? Any use there for Death Dreads? Because they've got a 1 CP stratagem that's new as well.
Yeah, so their 1 CP strat is to make an additional attack for every model that they kill in combat.
Yeah.
So they have 6 attacks at strength. I believe 14 minus 3 flat 3 damage. But with that strat, you don't really want to be putting them into infantry. Anyway, he wants to be taking out bigger targets with tanks.
Do they come as a unit or individual models?
And they come as individual. You buy them as a unit, but then they become individual models.
Same
if
as
it applies to all, if it applied to all 3, then happy days.
Okay, yeah.
What I do like is a custom job which works on Killicans, Death Dreads, and I believe Gorkanauts, Morkanauts is the extra 3-inch move and re-roll your advances, and that applies to the whole unit. So you could buy 3 Death Dreads, buy that custom job pre-game, and they all have 9-inch move with a re-rollable advance, and then with a Death Killer War Trike behind, they can advance and charge.
That sounds like a nice little detachment, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, in the list that I'm looking at, it's got a unit of Killicans with the Evil Sun's Weird Boy to cast reroll all hits on them, so they can reroll hits in shooting and combat, and give them the upgrade to move faster, and then reroll their advances. So that's something that I'm quite interested in because I really like the Ork Walkers.
Yeah, nice, cool. No, that sounds good. I think that's definitely what you said there with advancing and charging. Anytime you can get that extra movement is just, you know, games are won in the movement phase whether you like it or not. No matter how big your guns are or how hard you hit in combat, you know, games are really won in the movement phase. So yeah, I think that's fantastic. Chris, then, how has Psychic Awakening changed your list? Talk us through that.
Well, I'm going to be controversial. I don't think it changes the way I like to play my Orks a massive amount, because I am a boys spam Green Tide player, and I think it gives me some options. Like, I think the Shock Junk Dragsters, 3 of them going in, or even just 1 of them going in, just to give me something to go and hunt a Thunderfire cannon, is exciting and interesting. But I'm running 120 boys, 60 grots, tank busters, and characters, basically. And I think that is still an incredibly valid way to play Orks that Psychic Awakening didn't need to change. Like, it was already good. I think that's, for me, I don't think Psychic Awakening changes Orks, that style of Orks, but it does open so many other things up. So I think my Gorkanaut list is something that I might look at again if I can get that reliability. Yeah. But for a Green Tide list, I don't think it changes too much.
Only the custom force field for friendly clan units, I think, is the big one.
Yeah, and that makes me think, do I maybe bring in a second custom force field mech, but then what do you take out? And it becomes an interesting... I feel like I've got a nice balanced list that works and moving parts within it. I think it's going to take some play testing, and it's hard to play test when you're not allowed to leave your house. But I think there are things that I want to try out, but I don't see it having a massive impact on me.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned... Go on, Jack. Yeah.
I think to taking Chris's Gorkanaut list as an example, I'll be interested to see that list post points reductions and adjustments, because I reckon that list might start to become competitive again, and that's why I'm looking at certain Ork units, anticipating certain points drops on unpopular units, basically. And then with the buffs from Psychic Awakening, I'm hoping to make use of that. So I'm kind of going the opposite direction to Chris, and hoping that can get some different, try and get a different archetype of Ork list onto the table.
I'd love to see that as an Ork player.
You do like your tricksy armies, don't you? As Mark Crumblehome once described you as Trixie Tau. Yeah. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after this short break to then answer your questions that you've sent over to us on Instagram. And to find us on Instagram and to ask us a question, all you need to do is head over to Instagram and search for @the Vanguard Tactics. I know it sounds a little pretentious, putting the V in, putting the "the" in, but Vanguard Tactics is already taken, so it is the Vanguard Tactics. So we'll be back after this short break. Okay, guys, so we're back from that break, and now time to answer your questions. Now, remember, guys, if you want to get Chris's or Jack's Ork list, then all you need to do is head over to www.vanguardtactics.com/blog/EP11, and you can get those. Also, 6 o'clock PM every single day during this coronavirus outbreak, I am going live on the Vanguard Tactics YouTube channel. So if you want to ask me a question, it's a sit down and chat, because I just want people to feel less isolated, and we're really starting to get a good community over on the YouTube on those lives at 6 o'clock every day. So head on over, come say hi, and if you have any questions, then I can maybe talk about it. So anyway, without sort of going on any further, let's get these questions tackled. Okay, now, question 1. Do you think Iron Warriors can be competitive, Jack?
Oh, it's been a while since I looked at their book, but I remember when we did our review, there was some decent combos in there, wasn't there? They have the strat to re-roll the Obliterator number of shots.
Yeah.
Or is it all of these? It's all the D3s, I think.
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? It's all the D3s.
Yeah, and they've got a Warlord trait that gives you reroll 1s to wound, I think.
Yeah, and they've got
Grot Shield.
They've kind of got the Grot Shield. That was it. I was trying to figure out what it was, but it was a Grot Shield mechanic
with cultists.
So a cultist as cheap as chips, and you fill out your battalion. So they've definitely got some interesting things in there.
If it was me, I would definitely be running some Iron Warriors Obliterators, and I'd probably run 2 units. One as, in fact, I'd probably run 3 units of a Blitz. I'd have 1 unit that is Slanesh that I can double shoot and will have a Feel No Pain. I'll then run 1 is Tzeentch that gets +1 to their Invuln save. Then I'll also run a Master Possession that gives +1 Invuln also. I think that's an Aura. And then I'll probably run Nurgle and a Dark Apostle, which means one of the units of a Blitz will be -2 to hit. So you've got a -2 one which double shoots and is got Feel No Pain, and the other one's got an incredible Invuln save. So you've got 3 just disgustingly resilient, and you see what I did there, just absolute powerhouses, and then you just soup in whatever else with some like possessed bombs or whatever else. But I think it's definitely, and then just shed loads of cultists that you then warp time to get in front of those Blitz and soak up all the wounds. So I think it's got some really good play there. So anyway, we've got a question here. I always ask you this, but please do this for AOS. Maybe one day we'll venture out to the AOS. Who knows? Maybe when those High Elves come out, and I might be tempted. But so, one for you then, Chris. You ready?
As I'll ever be.
And his name is Dude, where's my dreadnought? Do you think 6+ Invuln on Grots is worth its weight, especially on Grot heavy armies?
I think so. I think, think about it in terms of percentages. It's like 16%. It's 16% more likely that your Grot's going to survive to anything that's -1. And I think it makes them slightly harder to get rid of. And if you're putting a run... Sorry, go for it.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
The answer is...
Sorry, I get excited. Yes, please.
The question is, Chris, do you get more excited about a 6+ Invuln save on your Grots or a large lamb shish kebab?
You'll never know. Equally.
We did an audio check earlier, and I asked Jack to describe in detail, because sometimes when I ask for an audio check, I'll be like, Jack, can you say something? You'll be like, testing, and it's not enough. So I now have to ask really elaborate questions. So I get you lot talking, and I asked Chris earlier, describe to me, Chris, your favourite kebab. And I was like, okay, Chris, you can stop now. That's 10 minutes, okay? We don't...
You said you needed me to talk, and I talk professionally for a living. It's what I do. I could talk about anything till the cows come home with a smile on my face.
Or shish kebabs, apparently.
Indeed.
So, okay. Jack, this one, I'm going to put it to you.
Okay.
Centurions in a land... Centurions in Land Raiders for Ultramarines or Iron Hands. The idea is to get more mobility.
White Scars, because you can move. They can jump out after the Land Raiders moved. And I don't think you can shoot, but you think you can charge, or maybe you could do both. But there's a strat to jump out after. There's a strat to double move the Land Raider. Then you can jump out with the unit at the end.
And then can you charge?
So I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think you can shoot, but you may be able to charge.
So what we've established is you may or may not be able to move the Land Raider twice, and you may or may not be able to get out after it's moved, and you may or may not be able to shoot and or charge.
You can do something, maybe.
This is off the top of my head. You could definitely move the Land Raider twice, and you could definitely get out of a vehicle after it's moved. The small print and the T's and C's I leave to you, Mr. Box, as our tactician master, and they can also outflank as White Scars. So that's what I'd be looking, and get them up to 4 damage in turn 3.
Look, I
refer back to my for Centurions.
I'd give you my feedback on White Scars, but I gave you the codex.
No, you've got it.
No, I don't. Maybe Mark's got
Mr.
it.
Mr. Reed's got it.
Oh dear.
Stop thief.
So White Scars then, apparently there it is, because you may or may not do some stuff. Right. What is okay? Right, Chris, I'm going to ask you this. This comes from Jordan Tyler Baron. What is your fondest memory from a competitive tournament, Chris?
Oh, Christ. I've had some incredible games. I had 2 games really stand out. One is the one that we had, and the other one was...
You don't just have to say that, mate, just because...
No, honestly. And the other one was against Boris of Bad Moon Cafe. Both games against incredible opponents, and both games where my dice completely abandoned me, and my opponent walked around the table to hug me in consolation on more than one occasion. So I think that is for me the actual competitive scene in a nutshell. Just laughing and hugs of support when they're needed.
Did Boris do that as well then?
He did. I rolled on my shock attack gun. He killed it. So I shot when I died. I rolled strength 9 shots, and then I didn't hit once.
See, this actually upsets me, because when I've played people like Rich Kilton and you, Jack, with your shock attack guns, when they've gone absolute off the chain, and you've rolled an 11 hits, and you've just destroyed my entire unit of Terminators of 10 man in one go, or my
that was great,
or my Incarn in one go, or when Rich Kilton destroyed 3 Repulsor Executioners in 2 turns. You guys didn't come round and hug me when it goes the other way.
I was too busy laughing.
Yeah, rubbing it in my face, yeah.
And this is why you should play Orks, everyone.
Yeah, clearly. You get hugs, but you don't give them out. Right, okay. So, this is... Okay, one for you, Jack. I currently play a casual competitive play. How do I transition to tournament play?
Throw yourself in there.
Just turn
Get
up.
in the mixer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Buy a ticket.
Yeah, that's what that's how I started. My first tournament I ever went to was LGT, not the one just gone, the one before that. just threw myself in there and learnt as I go, kind of thing.
Did we do a doubles first?
Yes, we did a doubles, and then that was my first
Proper one.
solo without the training
Forgotten
wheels.
about that, Steve. You're very forgettable as a partner, apparently.
Clearly forgettable.
But
No, yeah.
But throw yourself in there. Everyone's really friendly. It's always a very good atmosphere. You'll have 5 or 6 great games, and you'll learn so much from the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And
You will not regret it.
it's why we built the mentorship program, right? Because we wanted to help people have that confidence to be able to go on a journey, build up their army, feel confident in their list. Obviously, we help you refine it, whatever that might be. Make sure your hobby standards are there. Make sure you got your models on the right base sizes, correct your list, all that stuff. And then when you're actually at the tournament, give you all the help you need so you can be successful. So you don't go there like a lost sheep in or rabbit in the headlights, deer in the headlight, I don't know, some sort of animal in some sort of headlights that may or may not be on or off depending on the time of day. But anyway, so you're not lost.
That might be able to charge when it gets out of a Land Raider. Who knows?
Exactly, there could be some stuff like that.
I hate you guys.
One thing I would say on this question is don't be afraid to say to people, I'm new to the tournament circuit. And most people, the vast majority of people, will either say, oh my god, me too, or they'll give you all of the support that you need.
I still do that now.
Silence.
Is it not going to wash anymore?
Apparently not.
Game's up, Steve. Game's up. Okay, right. So, but no, I completely agree. There's nothing wrong with that. And also, if you're unhappy with anything as well, just go, can I just get a TO and ask them that question? And they'll be like, yeah, cool, that's not a problem. Do you know what I mean? So, and get comfortable with using a chess clock and things practice with that, because then it won't become, something that's new to you. So it's an extremely exciting experience. And, if you watch any of my vlogs and stuff on YouTube where I've been to events and things, then, like me and Jack and everyone else go out for food after. And that's why we've created the team Vanguard Tactics, so we can do exactly that and just have a good laugh, all of us together. So get in amongst it, Red Moon. Yeah. Right. I think this question's for me. So I'll take this one. Has producing content ever affected the enjoyment of the hobby for you? Absolutely not. I love my job. Having made the transition from and obviously I still 1 day a week, or probably 2 days a week, I look after my nutrition and training clients as per usual. I love my job. I couldn't have more satisfaction from teaching 40k, producing content. And I still find painting like an incredible switch off in time to relax. And I love gaming. What could be better about making videos about playing Warhammer, my favourite game with my best mate. So yeah, it's an extremely rewarding experience. And on that note, I think that's all the questions. And thank you so much to everyone that has sent in a question. Chris, thank you so much for coming on to today's show.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Mate, we'll have to have you on. We'll have to get you back because you're clearly quite funny.
I try.
Yeah. Jack, thank you again, mate.
Thank you. I'll definitely want a game with Chris with my Tau after all my Centurion spam after all those sarcastic and funny jokes made at my expense there. So,
sorry,
Chris,
I'm busy that day.
I'll look forward to the game.
So
running.
Jack will be there in his white scars and his Centurions. Right, Chris, so I'm going to pull this manoeuvre. I may or may not be able to do it, but I'm going to do this anyway. We'll check it after.
I'm going to get a
okay?
kebab and have a cry.
Yeah. But it's all right, Jack. As long as you give him a hug after, he'll tell you that it's been the best game ever. That's how that's how cheap the poor lad is. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks so much. If you like this podcast, then please give us a like, and if it isn't too much bother, head over to iTunes or whatever you're listening to us on and give us a little review. Ideally 5 stars and ideally a nice comment. But may or may not do something else. It's entirely your decision. It's a free world and everything. And guys, remember, clean your hands, stay safe, and we'll see you next week on episode 12. Take care, guys, and we'll see you then.